Holla, what's up?
What's up, Anthony Hamilton, my celebrity life with Ge Holla.
Shout out to Ge Holla, reaching 1 million listeners on his podcast, My Celebrity Life, Resetting the Bar.
What's up, Ge Holla? This your boy Genuine. Shout out to you.
I want to introduce you to another host I have on here. He goes by the name of I Said
Oh,
It. He said he actually met you before because he's from Chicago and your neck of the woods.
First, thank you foremost, Ge Holla. Thank you so much for just involving me. You know me with such a impactful interview and just needed. Miss Cynthia, peace to you, Queen. Again, my name is I Said It. I'm based out of Chicago. Actually, I believe it was like December 6th at the Queen's Awards that Delise does. I was actually sitting at the same table as you, and
that was
later on
that,
that
that
night.
that was basically a year ago.
Exactly 1 year ago to this day. And Ge Holla didn't even know that I had an opportunity to meet you when he was gracious enough to even invite me to be a part of this interview. And I was like, wow, Miss Cynthia, like I was across in the table with her because I was there to support my friend, Sister Africa. But with that being said, just learning about you and all of your extraordinary accomplishments and, how you are propelling this community, I just wanted to, come in and especially say, salute to you. You especially outstanding. I honor women here in Chicago, Black women, not just any women, but extraordinary Black women is who I focus on. Women like yourself. And with that being said, I just have a quick question. By being a Black publisher, what I mean, how difficult and how rare was that? Beyond the fact of just being a Black woman, but a woman publisher in the '70s, early '70s.
Well, it was rare, but it was also necessary because you have to have somebody at the forefront. It's not enough to just be a creator. Sometimes you have to be able to manage more of the pieces and have more of a say in what is actually going on. And I think that that's even more important now. They're silencing so many Black voices that we have to take ownership. We have to take control of our own career. We have to shape our own destiny because people are trying to squash and diminish all of our accomplishments. There are some places where the books that I used to read when I was younger, those books are no longer available because they're on a banned book list or they feel that that book should not have the kind of readership and audience that it might have had before. And I think that is really a shame. That's something that we need to do something about because our voices need to be heard. People need to know our experiences. They need to know where we came from because if you don't know where you came from, you won't know where to go. And there are so many people in this world who have accomplished something that is great, greater than anything anybody would ever imagine. And we have to make sure that these opportunities are available for the younger people, the younger generations to know who we were, what we did, and inspire them to be the best that they can be. And
Yes.
so I am very proud that I've been on this earth all these years, 4 decades in publishing. Uh, there's not very many people out here that still do what I did or what I'm still doing because they're either deceased or they went into a different line of work. I never, ever walked away from journalism once I got into the business. And I never will leave it. You know, I
Yes.
just, I feel like it's my responsibility to stay out here. Never retire, never to stop, just keep pushing forward ahead.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And did you have a mentee or someone that you looked up as a mentor in your early years when you started this that even inspired you to walk this path that you've been walking, so I
Yes,
mean,
Alex Haley, the author of Roots,
oh
the
wow.
author of Roots, which took him 12 years to write and trace our genealogy back to Africa. He
Mm,
had co-written the autobiography of Malcolm X. And
yes.
when I read that book, I think I was in high school. Um, I realized that he was a Black man. And at the time, I didn't know any Black authors. And I said, if this man is a Black author, I want to know more about him. So I did some research. And eventually, I ended up getting to meet this man because once I was working at Right On, Roots became a mini series. In fact, it was the highest rated mini series in the history of television because it told the story of Kunta Kinte and all of his ancestors. So at that point, I was able to meet Alex Haley, and I told him that he was my inspiration to try to move forward in journalism. And he was so happy to hear this. He shook my hand. He was overcome with emotion because I was so young at that time. I looked like a little baby, actually. But he knew I worked it Right On, so he knew I had to be a certain age. But he was just very touched to hear this. And I've tried to stay in contact with his relatives over the years, and they like hearing about that kind of thing too. So he was definitely a mentor. Another mentor, someone I really looked up to was Dinah Ross because I used to see her on television shows when she was in the Supremes. And I said, this is the most beautiful Black woman I've ever seen in my life. She had all these wonderful hairstyles and those costumes. And I said, one day I'm going to meet Dinah Ross. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I will. And I did get to meet her a few times. And she said that I looked like her, and I was in heaven. And as kids say, they would have used the term they fanning out. That's how I felt around Diana Ross because she really accomplished a lot. She was a groundbreaking person. Because back then you had a lot of white singers that were doing really well. Black singers did not get those same opportunities to perform places. If they did get to perform, they had to maybe eat in a different area or go through different entrances to venues because we were not given the respect we were supposed to get back in those days. But Diana Ross persevered, and she was at the Met Gala this year, and she shut it down in her outfit. So I said, I am going to always be inspired by somebody like Diana Ross. And I mean, there's other people too, but those are two that I'd like to mention. And then also Stevie Wonder, because the fact that he didn't have his sight, but he was able to record music, write these songs, perform, and become an iconic figure. He was a big inspiration to me also because I used to watch him on certain TV shows, and I was very fascinated with what he was doing with his life. And I got to meet him too and had a 4-hour interview with this man.
Wow, amazing.
And photos. And I got to tell him how much I admired him. And believe it or not, these entertainers like when you tell them that. They want to know more, though. They want to tell you, they don't want you to just say that you admired them. They want to know what was it that I liked about them, or was there a certain song that they did that meant something to me, or what was that special moment? They always want to know that. So if you ever meet a celebrity or a VIP and you tell them that you admire them, you have to bring it. You have to make sure that you can finish the sentence, that you tell them what they want to know, because it's not enough to just say you admire somebody. They want to know the why. They want to know the who, what, when, where, and why. It's just like a journalist.
Right. Absolutely. I appreciate that advice. Have you ever, continued to do anything outside of the media when it comes to magazines? Are you inspired to write a book if you have not already written a book? Being how you was inspired by, the first mentor you spoke of, the Roots.
I'm working on a few books. I have so much to tell.
Right, I know, right?
I would like to talk more about the Michael Jackson situation because he is the most misunderstood person on the face of the earth. So in my book, I definitely plan to correct different misconceptions because I knew the real Michael Jackson and I admired him tremendously. He did so much for this world and he was really a good person. He was very generous. He took me on a concert tour where I got treated just like he got treated. I got to stay in the same hotel with him. His staff stayed in a different one, but I got to stay in the hotel with him. I got to go on stage with him when he would perform in front of probably 100,000 people. You know, he wanted me to be able to fully experience the lifestyle that he led. I've been with him when he's been mobbed. We've had to run for our lives sometimes when these people were chasing us. We went to a shopping mall once and we definitely had to run for our lives. I used to carry a little briefcase with me with my tape recorder in it. And we had to use my briefcase as a shield and use that to push through the crowd to get to safety. Those are the kind of experiences that I've gone through with people like a Michael Jackson. But I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. In fact, one woman met me recently and she asked me, what did I do for a living? And I told her about Right On and all of that. And she said, you must have had the most fun job in the world. And I said, you know what? I guess I did. I definitely did have the most fun job in the world. But it was, of course, a lot of work and a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, I can't even imagine during that time and that era, you know, and how you continue to pave the way for people like myself and Ge Holla and others, you know, around the world and abroad. You know, I just want to thank you, and I'm just saying how gracious I am for you because you know, always got to respect the elders, and we always should respect the ones that help, you know, open that door for us. You know what I mean? Because if it wasn't for individuals like yourself, we wouldn't have a platform today to be able to celebrate you today. So, you know, we definitely thank you for that, ma'am. God bless you.
Well, thank you. And believe me, it was not easy because even though I did work for a company, it wasn't easy because back in those days, you still had to fight for some of the good interviews. You had to fight for the respect. We had a lot of white publications that are mainstream publications, I should say, that were also covering some of these same entertainers once the entertainers got really famous. So I always had to fight to make sure that we got our share of the pie and that Right On was not overlooked.
Yes.
And I think that that did open the doors for other people, but we still have to fight because we still have situations where um, all of us do not get the interviews that we're looking for. All of us do not get the respect that we're supposed to have. GeHolla knows that himself. So these are issues that we have to continue to work on. But one of the ways to get around that problem is to keep being seen. We have to be seen and we have to be heard.